Toby, it's great to have you with us. How's everything going as Oklahoma prepares for Alabama?
It's great to be with you. It's been a long season in Norman, but we're very much looking forward to Saturday night.
We're certainly looking forward to being there. And let's start, first of all, just about Oklahoma joining the Southeastern Conference. What was the excitement around Norman the last couple of years, knowing this move was taking place? And then what's been the experience getting to travel around and see the SEC this fall?
Yeah, I would say that Sooner fans have been giddy with anticipation since they found out, I guess it was 3 years ago now, that this move was taking place. We had a lot of good years, decades in the Big 12, Big 8, Big 7, Big 6, familiar foes, the Kansas and Colorados and Iowa States and Oklahoma States of the world. A lot of great memories, a lot of great friends. But the opportunity to get to play in the elite conference in certainly college football and really all of collegiate athletics is very exciting. And with that comes new road trips, new fan bases coming to Norman, new stadiums, new arenas. And that's all very exciting, especially if you're in our business. So it's been fun. We haven't been a lot of places yet, but Ole Miss and Auburn and Missouri. And we certainly are familiar with Missouri from years gone by. But the years to come, the next 3 years or so, when we get to visit all of the different cities in the SEC, are going to be very exciting. Unfortunately, the season hasn't gone like Oklahoma fans or certainly the team wished it would. But nevertheless, to be in this conference is going to be tremendous over the next, hopefully, many, many years.
And if you could just take us through the journey of the season so far. Got off to a good start, I believe, winning 4 of the first 5, but now losses in 4 of the last 5 ball games. So where does this team stand at this point?
Well, I mean, the story of the year is injuries. On the offensive side of the ball, it's been historic. They've been completely decimated. Top 5 wide receivers have been out most of the year. They've now lost 4 of their 5 starting offensive linemen. And last week, their top 2 running backs coming into the season. And there's more. But, on the defensive side of the ball, there's been a couple of guys as well. But when you are gutted like that on offense, what happens is what you've seen. They've had a terrible time moving the football and scoring on offense. Defense has been pretty good. Defense has been really good, really considering the position they've been put in this year. But the offense has just, we're not used to this around here. This is a program that the last couple of decades has put up points at a historic rate and won Heisman trophies and had number 1 draft picks in the NFL. And to not be able to get a first down or get it into the end zone has been a shock to the system. And it caused the change at offensive coordinator midway through the year, the dismissal of Seth Luttrell. And it has caused 2 young quarterbacks who already had a big test in front of them, Jackson Arnold and Michael Hawkins. They were going to have to, as either a freshman or a sophomore, navigate the SEC and one of the most difficult schedules in the country this year. Now they've had to do that without all of those guys I just mentioned, all of the top weapons, and a completely restacked offensive line. And it's been tough. The turnovers have come at a more than they'd like lately. And there have been some back-breaking moments like the end of the Missouri game where it looked like they had a victory and turned it over at the worst possible time. So it's been a rough year. It's been a really rough year. That being said, you got Alabama and LSU to close the season here. If you win one of those 2, everybody feels a little bit better. This is not a place, though, where you're just trying to go to bowl games. Oklahoma and Alabama are kindred spirits in that regard. We play for national championships around here, and really anything less is not satisfying. And I think going into this year, and really going into any year going forward, if you're not in the college football playoff at Oklahoma, it's not going to go well. It's not going to sit well with fans. So they would love to beat Alabama and or LSU here down the stretch to get to a bowl game and make everything feel a little bit better. But it's still been a very disappointing season.
As we get ready for Saturday, just where do things stand with the quarterback position for the Sooners?
It's a good question. I think it'll be Jackson Arnold. Jackson Arnold started the year. He was replaced in the middle of the Tennessee game. He got off to a shaky start that game and hadn't been playing that well. Michael Hawkins came in, won the Auburn game the next week, but then did not play very well against Texas. He got replaced. So now it's been Jackson Arnold since then. He played two of his best games of the year, and then last week struggled mightily against Missouri. I think it'll be Jackson Arnold because he was named a captain yesterday. As on Tuesday, he was named a captain. And so that seems to be potentially an indication that he's going to get the starting nod. But I would imagine it will be a short leash. I would imagine if he doesn't get off to a particularly good start, that you might also see the freshman Michael Hawkins. The difference in the two is that Hawkins is an elite athlete at quarterback, not as accurate perhaps of a thrower, although he's got a big arm. Jackson Arnold has good mobility. He's a good runner, just not the elite level of athleticism that Hawkins has. And Arnold probably a little bit better, more accurate of a passer. So Jackson Arnold was a 5-star, number one quarterback in the country type guy coming out of high school. And I think all of Sooner Nation's kind of sizing him up right now. Is the way you've struggled this year because you're not as good as people thought you were coming in? Or is it because of all the problems, the tornado of circumstances around you with the injuries this year? If he had his full complement of receivers, running backs, and offensive linemen, would Jackson Arnold look like the star that we think he can be? No.
And then defensively, who are some of the key playmakers we need to keep an eye out for on Saturday?
Danny Stutzman is a Butkus semifinalist. This will be his final game on Owen Field. He took his name out of the NFL draft last year to come back this season, and that was a big deal. He's a fantastic linebacker. Billy Bowman on the back end did the exact same thing. He had 6 interceptions and 3 pick sixes last year. Took his name out of the NFL draft to come back. He had the scoop and score last week. He's the safety against Missouri. Outstanding player back there. The one other guy I would point out is R. Mason Thomas, defensive end, 7 sacks on the year, and 6 of those have come in the fourth quarter of games. They've taken to calling him the closer around here because he tends to make big plays in the fourth quarter to hopefully secure a victory. So those have probably been the best 3 players. It's a solid defense, though. As I was talking about, they're not used to this kind of offense around here. Back in the days when Oklahoma and Alabama were meeting each other in college football playoff semifinals, the Oklahoma offense was great, but the defense wasn't good. And that was their kryptonite when they ran into the Alabamas and LSUs of the world. And roles have reversed under Brent Venables. As you might expect, the defense has gotten better, much better under Brent Venables. They've recruited better. They've got talent. They've got depth. They've got guys that are going to go play in the NFL over there. So it's a good, solid, I think it'll be one of the best defenses that Alabama plays all year. The problem's been that they can't score enough points on the other side to match it most weeks.
And you mentioned Coach Venables taking over as the head coach for the Sooners. We've obviously seen him before during his days at Clemson as a coordinator, but what's he like as a head coach as he tries to navigate through what you mentioned has been a tough season, and we know from earlier in the week some tough issues at home as well?
We love Brent Venables around here. Obviously, he was a defensive coordinator for many, many years, through some glory years, including a national championship here at Oklahoma under Bob Stoops. And beyond excited when he agreed to come back to be the head coach here. Everybody's rooting for Brent Venables. It's been tough. He was the first year Lincoln Riley kind of gutted the place when he left. He took a bunch of players and a bunch of recruits with him. And so that first year was tough. Last year, a double-digit win season, and we're in the college football playoff hunt for much of the year. And it was a good year, and things were going in the right direction. And then this year, all the injuries. So he's getting some heat. It looks like they could be headed for a second losing season in 3 years. Unacceptable around here. But there are extenuating circumstances. And so I think he's going to get another year. I think he's going to be allowed to try to hire an offensive coordinator who could help change things. He's done a great job on defense. He's done a great job in recruiting. He's done a tremendous job with the culture and behind the scenes and soul mission and all that kind of stuff. The players love playing for him. He has, as you alluded to there, he's been dealing with some family issues as well. His wife is battling cancer, Julie, who is a tremendous lady. And so it's been hard, man. It's been really hard on him, everything he's gone through this year. And obviously, all of us are rooting and praying for Julie as well. And so it's just, he's a great guy. He's a tremendous guy. If he's going to continue to be the long-term head coach at Oklahoma, they got to get the issues on offense fixed. What his side of the ball and his specialty has been really good, and it seems to be trending in an even better direction. I think under Brent Venables, Oklahoma is going to have an elite defense, one of the best defenses in the SEC going forward. But if you can't score points, that doesn't matter. So this is a huge hire for him at the offensive coordinator spot in this offseason. If he gets that right, I think he could be the head coach at Oklahoma for a long time.
Well, it's been a long time since Alabama's made the trip to Norman since the early 2000s. For our fans that are making the trip this weekend, just either around the stadium, campus, downtown, anything you can tell us that are some really must-visit spots to really feel like they've gotten the full Oklahoma experience.
Can't wait. Yeah, 2002. I can't believe it's been that long. I remember well when Alabama came to town and they started the game with an onside kick, and it was a crazy game that day. Campus Corner is kind of the hangout place. It's a little bit north of the stadium. That's where you'll find all the restaurants and the pregame shows and everything before the game. It'll be hopping since we got a night game. And then we don't really have one tailgating spot like the Grove at Ole Miss, but it's everywhere. You'll see tents everywhere and everything. The team has its quote-unquote Walk of Champions is what they call it, where they'll enter on the north side of the stadium 2 hours before the game, and everybody gathers there to greet them as they walk in, similar to what they do at many other places around the SEC. And then the stadium, we refer to it as the Palace on the Prairie around here. They have done a great job renovating it over the last 25 years under Joe Castiglione. It's a beautiful football stadium. And the south end zone has been completely refurbished in the last 5 years. I think it's now the second largest video board in college football, second or third. And it's a beautiful stadium. It seats 85,000. So obviously not as big as Bryant-Denny, but they'll pack it in there and they'll put on a good show for you on Saturday night. And I'm sure that the Oklahoma hospitality will be in full bloom as they're eager. That's one of the great things is we love to welcome opposing fan bases and to make them feel welcome. A little bit different atmosphere than maybe you might find when you go to Baton Rouge. I don't know if they're as welcoming down there, but we look forward to welcoming all the fans of the SEC, especially Alabama. As I said, I think Oklahoma considers, a very small number, maybe a handful of other programs out there to be their historic peers. And Alabama is setting the standard for everybody across college football. And so to welcome a tradition and a fan base and excellence like they have at Alabama and have had will be a real treat and a real honor. So we're all looking forward to Saturday. Hopefully it'll be a good football game.
Absolutely. Can't wait to be there. Well, Toby Rowland, thank you so much for the time you've given us here on the Crimson Tide Sports Network. We're thrilled the Sooners are part of the SEC, and we'll get to talk a lot more in the future. But thank you for your time. We look forward to seeing you Saturday.
All right. Thank you, Roger.